Welcome to the 2021 Town of Grafton Annual Fall Meeting. My name is Dawn Anderson and I am the moderator. I respectfully ask that you address me as Madam Moderator. I would like to appoint David Robbins as my deputy moderator. In compliance with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we ask that everyone please keep your masks on. I ask that all visitors please be seated in the first 2 rows to my left. If you would like to speak on an article, please come down to the microphones at the front of the auditorium and wait to be called on by the moderator. Please remember to state your name and your address. Votes will be taken by hand count. Paddles have been distributed for the hand count. Green is for yes, red is for no. Please raise your paddle to the vote and keep holding it up until you're asked to put it down. Standing votes will be taken if the moderator feels the vote is too close to call. Please, no shouting or outbursts will be allowed at any time, and there is no food or drink allowed in the auditorium. I would like the microphone to work. I would like to ask the Vice Chair, Colleen Roy, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Few introductions. I'm going to have to hold this thing all night. Town Administrator, Evan Prasad. Town Attorney, Ginny Kramer, thank you. Town Clerk, Candy LaValle. Here today is also our representative, David Meridian, with some news from Boston.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Can everyone hear me? Okay. David Meridian, 8 North Street. I just want to give you a really brief update on everything from Beacon Hill. We're talking about ARPA spending. We're talking about the potential of an infrastructure bill from the federal level coming down and how we can better serve the communities of Massachusetts. And one of the biggest things for everyone in the 9th Worcester District, which is what my seat, and I'm so proud to have it, is that for redistricting, we look at the census numbers and whatnot, and for the next 10 years, the 9th Worcester District will stay Grafton, Northbridge, and Upton, so I can continue to be your great representation up on Beacon Hill. It's an honor to be there. Thank you so much. Go Red Sox.
I would now ask the town clerk to please read the return of the warrant.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts Town of Grafton Annual Town Meeting Warrant, October 18th, 2021, to any of the constables of the Town of Grafton and the County of Worcester. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of the Town of Grafton qualified to vote in election and town affairs to meet in the Grafton High School located at 24 Providence Road on Monday, the 18th, day of October 2021 at 7:30 p.m. to act on the following articles. And you are directed to serve this warrant by posting up an attested copy thereof in some conspicuous place in each of the precincts of the town at least 14 days before said meeting. Hereof fail not and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of meetings as aforesaid. Given under our hands this 20th day of September in the year of our Lord 2021, Select Board, Peter Carlson, Chairman, Colleen Roy, Vice Chairman, Matthew Often, Clerk, Doreen DeFazio, Raymond Mead. I have complied with the requirements of the above warrant and with the Town of Grafton bylaws by posting an attest copy of the warrant in some conspicuous place in each of the precincts of the town on the above date. Cynthia J. Ide, Constable of Grafton.
Can you hear me now? Okay. We will be using a consent agenda. Have Evan. We will be using a consent agenda this evening. I'd like to have Evan Broussard just review the procedure, please. Thank you. Better? Is it working now? Okay. As I said, we are using the consent agenda for tonight's meeting for several of the articles, and Evan Broussard will review that now.
You turn it on. There we go. Thank you, Madam Moderator. So as Don mentioned, we will be using a consent agenda. Again, all that a consent agenda is grouping similar articles together into one motion so that you don't have to act on each one independently. And it, in general, moves the agenda along quicker for the procedural items that aren't expected to generate a lot of controversy or comment. And so you'll see that we have broken this warrant down into 4 consent motions. The first one will act upon donation of land articles. The second one is Community Preservation Act articles. The third is infrastructure expense. And the fourth is road construction easement articles. And then it moves after that into Article 17, which is the first one that's non-consent. If at any point you have an article inside of one of those consent motions that you would like to discuss separately, you just yell out hold when the moderator calls that article number, and it will be withdrawn from the consent agenda and then acted upon individually.
Thank you. Ms. Roy.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to act upon Article 1, 2, and 3, and that these articles be passed by consent.
Motion made and seconded. Article 1. Article 2. Article 3. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried. Mr. Often?
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to act upon Article 4 and 5, and that these articles be passed by consent.
Motion made and seconded. Article 4. Article 5. Article 4 will be removed from the consent agenda and vote on the remaining. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none. Those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried. Mr. Mead.
Madam Moderator,
Yes.
I move that the town vote to act upon Article 6, 7, 8, 9.
No, I'm sorry, we had a hold on Article 4.
Oh, sorry. So we gotta go to back to 4, right? Yep. Oh, so it is you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. DeFazio, I apologize, we are going to go through all 4 of the consent agendas and then go back to any articles that were being held.
Now works.
Mr. Mead.
I move that the town vote to appropriate funds. Hang on, 1 second.
No.
Sorry.
So we are going forward on Article 4?
Yep.
Okay.
I move
Mr.
that-
Mead,
I move that the town vote to appropriate funds in the amount of $47,000 from the Community Preservation Act fiscal year 2022 budgeted reserve for the design services to develop a passive recreation park on town-owned land located at 95 North Street, with such funds to be expended by June 30th, 2023, unless the CPC, by the majority of vote, extends the deadline.
motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
To Stonewall Drive. First, I have a question, Madam Moderator, through you, and I'm not sure who can answer this question, but can anybody tell me about how many acres we're talking about and what the access to the land is?
Is there someone from the Community Preservation Committee that could speak to that?
I guess I'm the only one here from the Community Preservation Committee that can answer this. I'm Justin Wood at 5 Garden Street. It is approximately 9-10 acres. I'm trying to remember. Evan, do you remember? 17, thank you. But yeah, it is a bunch of acres. Then access would be through North Street, from my understanding. I didn't prepare for this answer, so I'm sorry. But
Thank you, Madam Moderator. There's a million reasons that I should be in favor of this. I live in the neighborhood. I believe in passive recreation. I've known the Engvall family my entire life. And it seems like a good idea, except when I consider that we're asking for $47,000 for a plan that's probably going to come up with a pretty good plan for some trails and maybe some parking and some signs. And then we're going to come back here probably in another year and ask for $200,000, and I'm just making that number up, but if we're spending $47,000 for the plan, I can't imagine what it's going to cost to actually do something there. For 17 acres that's going to be accessed by, it looks like about maybe 20 houses in the neighborhood. It doesn't seem like the smartest use of our community preservation funds. It would seem to me that those funds could be used for something else. And like so many of these projects that we've done in the past, and I know I'm sounding like the grumpy old man in this one, we could have the land trust and the scout troops come in and fix that area up for passive recreation. So I hope that the town meeting will join me in voting against this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article 4? If you'd like to speak, you have to come down to the microphone.
Ed Prisby, 25 Daniel Drive. I'm just standing here to let Scott off the hook. I'd be the grumpy young man who's going to talk about this for a second here. It is $47,000, and any time that we're setting aside money for a study, I kind of want to know if the study's going to go anywhere, and then what's going to happen after the study. Studies seem to be short cash things. We throw a lot of money at studies, and sometimes they go someplace, sometimes they don't. When you're asking me for $47,000, what I want to know is, what's the end result? What are we getting here? And everything that Scott said is right. What happens next? And there's nobody here from CPC to fill me in, so I'm having a hard time saying, yeah, okay, spend $47,000 on a study without exactly knowing what's going to come next, aside from the fact that, as Scott said, looks like something that's going to benefit a neighborhood. and not necessarily the entire community. Thanks.
Any other further discussion on Article 4?
Oh, go ahead. Hi, Joyce Kelly, 20 Sartell Road. I'm just wondering, Scott brought up about that land. What are the access points to it? How do you access it? Does it have frontage along the road, or do you have to cut through somebody's yard? Does anybody know that answer? I think it'd be a good one to know. Thank you.
So that property sits right on North Street. It's adjacent to a lot that was carved out from the original property, and I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that access will be right off of North Street.
Madam Moderator, Richard Whitney, 13 Greeny Drive. I'm on the CPC. We looked at this plan and we came up with a unanimous decision to fund this and bring this to town meeting, because this is a proposal to find out exactly what the people that gave us the property wanted to do. We took in good faith to take their land for free, and now they wanted to make a recreation area for it. And I ask everybody to vote yes for this, because it's not going to, this $47,000 is going to give us a plan. It's going to give us an impact of what the neighbors think, everything else, and come up with a good solution of what we can do to this property, and make the Ingvalds very happy for giving it to the town of Grafton. Without people giving this property or any other property to the town and us not acting on it, and having people say, well, what happens afterwards? Well, we don't know what's going to happen afterwards. We should take the chance, because life's too short, number one. Number two, this person has given her life to living on this property, and she wants to give it to the town and have the kids in the town and the grown-ups and the disability children to have somewhere else to go and explore nature. This is not going to be a super park. This is not going to be something that's going to infringe on both neighborhoods, because I brought that up at the meeting before we even brought this to you. Okay? I wanted to know exactly who this is going to impact. And as far as I can see, if we don't do the study, we're not going to know. And entrance, yes, it's going to be on North Street, maybe for 25 cars, maybe for 5 cars. We don't know that until we have the final plan of doing this. So I recommend that everybody in town, before you say no, look at the people that are giving you property that they could turn around and sell and build condos on it, or apartments, or single-family homes, and say, wow, we got a nice piece of land. We don't have to have, the most elaborate piece of thing there, but it's going to be something there that the schools can use. The school on North Street can bring the kids down there. I mean, there's all signs of things that can be going on in this property. So voting no on this is totally ridiculous to me, and that's where I stand.
Thank you. You had a point to make, ma'am?
Well, Jen Anderson, Recreation Director. So I wasn't planning to have to write a whole thing on this, thinking I had to sell it to you guys. So before I kind of go through some hot spots here, I'd be happy to answer any questions about this. But to really revisit this quickly, this donation of land was given us specifically for passive recreation. So we're talking trails, open space, a picnic pavilion, maybe an outdoor classroom, maybe a sensory garden. These are all things that were acknowledged in the open space and recreation plan. okay? So this money has to be spent in order to figure out, not necessarily a study, we've had the look, we know what we're dealing with, we know there's some wetlands areas, we know there's a small parking area we can have off the side of North Street to access and maybe build a bridge through some invasive species type stuff. But yes, scouts, land trust, we know there's internal in-kind work that can be done to make these trails happen, but we don't know the expense, right? It could be 100, it could be 5, it could be more than that. But to spend this short money to get this space that we know, according to previous things and plans that we know that we want, it's not a flex field, it's not a playground. Yeah, maybe ideally we get the sidewalk to keep going from the branch of Old Westboro Road down to North Street so the school can directly access it. But we're fulfilling the wishes. We're going to keep the integrity of the property for the family. We're going to be adding, ideally, ADA accessible multi-use trails around the system, and there's people who can help us do that. The family will be working with the family to honor their wishes, right? This is really to spend money on a concept plan, right? So we're going to lay out some ideas of what the possibilities are, and we're going to come to you with the community outreach opportunities, multiple opportunities for you to give your input as to what you'd like to see there within the scope of what the family's wishes are and within passive recreation. So I'm hoping you guys are seeing that vision, and I'm happy to answer any questions. We are combining efforts with recreation and conservation to maintain this property. So it will be a multi-department oversight.
Ma'am.
Madam Moderator, Stephanie Texera, 26 Sartell Road. I was wondering if this gift had a stipulation that if it's not developed for passive recreation, if it will be returned to the family, or if the town holds it to do with what the town chooses.
Can someone from Grafton Rec or Community Preservation speak to that?
I don't know if you have any specific, specific or William regarding the donation, but I don't think it goes back. They donated it. We have a deed, and they have wishes, and I'm saying we have to 100% fulfill them, but there's certain things they would like to see to maintain the integrity of the property. We will have historical markings about what the farmland it consisted of. It used to be an apple orchard, a Christmas tree farm, those sorts of things. So it's going to be a very honored parcel with space that the town has, like, as I said, acknowledged they would like to see there. And I think for very short money in a really great location.
Sir?
Brian Hool, 68 Carroll Road, North Grafton. I've been a member of Scouts in the past. I brought 2 boys up, Eagle Scouts. We've had the Scouts involved in trail making. Just recently, if you saw the Grafton News, you probably saw something about what the Scouts had done. I'm wondering, as Scott was talking about, rather than spending $47,000 to get a consultant to do something like this, why couldn't you pull together the land trust people, conservation people, the Scouts, the Girl Scouts, and come up with a plan that doesn't cost $47,000? I think it can be done. We've done it in other places. And I think with there's enough people in town that are volunteers that probably would put their heads together and come up with some kind of plan that would honor the Ingvilles. Thank you.
Madam Moderator.
Mr. Mead?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to reiterate what Jen said. This is short money. And what Mr. Whitney said about the donation of the land. Town meeting accepted this land. And now, between CPC and Recreation, they want to come up with a plan. Now, volunteers are great, And volunteers are going to be needed when this project takes off. This project, as Jen said, and if I'm wrong, Jen, correct me, 200,000, 500,000, it could be more than that. And you're going to get to vote on that. Everybody in this building, everybody who sits in these seats is going to get to vote on that dollar amount. And at that point, if there are the scouts, which are fantastic, they've worked at Roney Park, they're going to be working behind the library, I think it's wonderful. But this is short money, and this is CPC money, and this is what it is for. And we really need to move on to other articles here and get this over with. And I urge you to vote yes on this.
Yes. No. Well. Yeah, just pull it right out.
I just don't want to break it. Thank you. Rebecca Alforce, 5 Falmouth Drive, North Grafton. I guess what I'm wondering is, in terms of community preservation, and maybe this is something that people in town know, is that simply about putting aside land or accepting donations of land, or is it tied to something particularly special about this land? Is there something on this that's of sort of historical value in the community that sort of warrants it needing more attention than maybe some of the properties that the town already has? That I know they've been doing a lot to fix up some of the things, some of the parks and that sort of thing, but there are others that, there are areas that could potentially benefit. So that's just a question I have about this, so.
I believe this slide here is answering that question. It's been a vegetable farm, apple and peach orchard, a Christmas tree farm. Are there any further questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Bill Yeomans, 297 Providence Road in South Grafton. I look at this project and I look at the graciousness of the family that donated it for passive use for this town. And I think it's a great piece of land. It's 16 acres, 16 plus acres. And I think it is a project that goes beyond volunteers or scouts or the land trust. And I can only speak from my experience. We moved here from Shrewsbury now over 10 years ago. And there was a parcel of land off of Lake Street by Sack Park. This needs the study because I want to see the use of this land in a passive way. I want to see a trail for walkers, a trail for walkers who don't get as long as well as they used to. I want to see a trail for strollers, and I want to see a hiking trail. And to accomplish those things, you have to study the land. I think some of the fear that I've had, and that may exist in the hall here tonight, is the fear of project creep. And that has been highlighted before. And, you know, it's one thing to say, and I think the study should be voted favorably. But I think, and even though Ray says we can come back in here and approve it, many times the cost of the project just escalates so much that it's not worth doing. But this has to be studied to ensure that the needs of all of us are met, and I would strongly advocate for your positive vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yeomans. Sir?
Madam Moderator. Craig Dauphiné, 5 Bruce Street. Question for the committee. The $47,000 conceptual plan and layout, is that going to include enough detail for bid documents? In other words, when we're done with the $47,000, are we going to be able to take that document and if the town so chooses, go out to bid to have these trails built.
Jen is coming back up to respond to that.
This is Ken Holberger, 47 Old Upton Road, and I'm also on the Committee for Community Preservation. I believe the answer to that is no. The result of this study is going to be essentially a list of activities that you can see listed there, a list that could be done on this property, kind of what they would look like, and a good estimate as to what they would cost. The next step would be to come back to town meeting and decide which ones the town wants to do. And so that addresses the question of what's the ultimate cost of the project. The ultimate cost is whatever town meeting approves based on the results of this study. And without this study, that question can't be answered.
Thank you. Mr. Doffman?
Okay, yeah, thank you. So for me, I mean, for $47,000 to assess 16 plus acres of property for some passive walking trails, to not include enough information or detail for us to be able to go out to bid on it is a problem for me, because, I mean, we should be able to take that document. That's a lot of money, and I'm not saying it's not worth it, but for that kind of dough to assess this land, we should be able to take that and create a document to put it out to bid. Because if this document isn't going to include that, then we're going to have to come back to town meeting and vote to raise funds to do a detailed plan to be able to create bid documents, which is probably going to be more than 47 grand, because it's supposed to be conceptual, which shouldn't take a ton of time. And then, so we're going to have to fund that and then fund the ultimate building of the trails. So for me, it seems high.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Mead?
I'm going to flip-flop because I thought the $47,000 was the money to put this project together, as Craig said, to get pricing, to come back to the next town meeting and say it's going to cost this much and we have all these plans. I was under the impression, and I apologize for not knowing better, but I was under the impression that we had, as Craig said, plans that we could put out to bid. And I urge you to vote no.
Jen, did you have anything further?
Yeah, William, I don't know if you can put out the last page of what that quote was. This number, there, thank you, is really just an estimate from a contractor, that we've used before, and a landscape architect we've used before, right? So it could be less, it could be more, okay? It could be very less. The idea of this is, and Evan, I don't know if you can pipe into this, but that we would put this concept plan out to you. We would do community outreach, like has been done in the past, and we would say, here's what can be done with this property, and what else would you like to see? Do you want to see this many trails? Do you want to see a sensory garden? Do you want to see an outdoor classroom? All of these extras that we say, and then it comes out to be a, 200,000, a 500,000, a 800,000, right? And you go, nope, nope, nope. And we, wage your appetite on what you think can be done at this parcel, right? And we either eliminate or add based on that. At that point, when you approve the idea, we would go and put an RFP out, a request for proposal, with a very specific, number one, before we do this, we put an RFP together to get exactly what we're going to get out of this company to put this proposal together, how many outreach meetings there are, et cetera, et cetera. But once that comes to head, hopefully, that we would come to you and say, okay, now we are now presenting you a $400,000 park, right? And then we would build those construction documents and then put those pieces together. So I think this is just phase one for that. And if you could add go what those steps, I think you spoke before about how we're supposed to do things, but again, this is what everyone told us they're looking for. So I'm a little shocked that we're questioning it this much. So please let us know what you want for recreation and conservation.
Madam Moderator.
Mr. Prasad?
So $47,000 is a lot of money to do a study. That is the highest price that you would see. And so what we do is we go out and get one price, and then that becomes the high water mark, and then we go out and solicit the other bids to see if we can do that for less money. The way that things work for finance at town meeting is we have to have basically the do not exceed number, which is what this would be. As Jen said, then we go out and do all the outreach and come up with general figures that would be used to then hone in on what you're going to do for a project. So you can't do your specific construction level bid documents until you know what it is you're actually going to build. Which I realize $47,000 is a lot of money to think about what we want to do later some other time. But welcome to government. That's just kind of how it works, and if we don't do it that way is how we wind up starting projects that get halfway built and waste all of the taxpayer money. So I think that it's important that if you want to do something with that parcel, that you fund a study to find out exactly what we can do and where and what the community wants to do as far as the abutters and the other people in the immediate area want to see on that land.
Thank you. Sir?
Madam Moderator, Richard Whitney again, 13 Greeny Drive, CPC. To Mr. Dolphiny's question, its answer to him, yes, this is not going to be a final overlay that we can go out and to put out to bid. This is just a concept of getting it in action so we can do something to honor the Ingvalds, just like we did many years ago with the Dolphin Park down in South Grafton. Okay? So, I mean, we have to start somewhere. So I'm asking you, let's vote yes. It is short money, and everybody, next time, whoever wants to give us 17 acres for free is going to say, no, I'm going to sell it and put a development in. That's what's going to happen.
Madam Moderator?
Mr.
I'd like to
Hoffman?
move the question.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded to move the question. A yes vote will end all discussion on this article. A no vote will continue discussion. All those in favor to move the question? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried. Article 4. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. DeFazio?
I move that the town vote to act upon Articles 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, and that these articles be passed by consent.
Motion made and seconded. Article 6, Article 7, Article 8, Article 9, Article 10, Article 11, Article 12, Article 13. Is there any discussion on the consent motion?
Madam Moderator?
Yes, sir.
Roger Trahan, 4 Old Upton Road. Article 6 lacks an amount, even though the Finance Committee does mention an amount. And Article 10 also lacks an amount. In other words, both articles mention a sum of money. So I don't know how we want to do this. I didn't yell hold on either of those, but and an account, so.
Mr. Trehane, the motion has the amounts in them. The articles do not need to have them.
Madam Moderator, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sorry. The motion has the amounts listed. The articles do not have to have them.
Okay, but the motions, where are the motions? Where are you?
In the Finance Committee recommends the passage of the article in the amount of.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that it's assumed that the motion includes the wording of the Finance Committee's recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried. Mr. Mead?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to act upon Article 14, 15, and 16, and that these articles be passed by consent.
Motion made and seconded. Article 14. Article 15. Article 16. Article 16 is going to be held. We will take a vote on the remaining articles. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried. Article 16, Mr. Mead.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the Select Board to negotiate with property owners for the acquisition by gift, purchase, or eminent domain of certain temporary and permanent easements to real property abutting George Hill Road, Leland Street, Soap Hill Road, Stowe Road, and Fay Mountain Road that are necessary for the improvements of George Hill, Leland Hill, Soap Hill, Stowe Road, and Fay Mountain Road.
Yes, hello, Teresa Churchill, 123 Merriam Road.
No, we haven't, the motion hasn't been seconded.
Second. I mean, I can't say that.
You can't second yourself,
No,
Ray?
I'm just trying to move things
You
along.
taught me better than that. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Teresa Churchill, 123 Merriam Road. I just had a question. Our property actually is on Merriam, but it also goes against Fay Mountain, and it says eminent domain. I was just wondering, is there an estimate of how much of our land might have to be usurped for this?
No, so what this article does is allows the board to start the negotiation process. So once you do the surveys and all the rest of it, and it figures out how much you need to take or purchase or be gifted. No, I'm just kidding. That's when we would have that conversation. But right now, it's just allowing the board to even move the project in that direction.
Okay, yeah, and I just, because I'm not really familiar with this, if it was eminent domain, they could say, I want to take 5 acres or
We have to put eminent domain in there. Generally speaking, they're a purchase, but let's say there was one person on the whole road that didn't want to give up that little 5-foot section, you have to put that in here to authorize that so that we can actually do the work. But eminent domain is not the path of least resistance that anyone would want to deal with.
Okay, I was just a question. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried. Article 17.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to pass over Article 17.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried. Article 18.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate funds in the amount of $146,625 from free cash for the funding of capital items.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. This requires a 2/3 vote. Please keep your paddles up until I tell you to put them down. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried by the required 2/3 vote.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. DeFazio.
I move that the town vote to accept the proposed amendments to Article 2, Section 1A of the Grafton General Bylaws as set forth in Article 19, and to further authorize the town administration to make non-substantive changes to the lettering, numbering, and/or pagination in the general bylaws going forward on an as-needed basis.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Please come forward.
Hi, I'm Rita Zeffert from Falmouth Drive in North Grafton, and I am opposed to this article. I think it causes a hardship to a large number of, well, maybe not a large number, but some people in the town who are not able, for religious purposes, to participate on a Saturday. And really, by the laws of this country, anybody who is impacted religiously and is left out should be considered as being the main reason why a rule, a law, a bylaw should not go into effect. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Hi, Anne Marie Foley, 45 South Street. I too oppose this article. I feel that it really will exclude a number of people from being able to attend town meeting. For example, on a Saturday in May, if you're down at Ferry Street Park, you see a lot of families out there with their kids playing various sports and whatnot. So I think this just will be an unfortunate change that will leave more people out of it than brings people in.
Yes, ma'am.
Linda Bent, 93 Millbury Street in Grafton. I work on Saturday, and being on a limited budget, I can't afford to take time off to come to a town meeting. As a citizen of Grafton, I think it's imperative that I come to the meeting. So I don't think that that's a very good idea. I also want to state I'm a Red Sox fan, and I gave up not watching the playoffs to come to the meeting.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Greeney Drive. Why are we changing this? What gives us a better reason for doing this? Of having it on the Saturdays instead of during the weeks like we have been for all kinds of years. Can anybody answer me that one?
Will someone from the select board please speak to that?
Madam Moderator?
Mr. Mead?
We talked, as most of you know, I was the moderator for 2 or 3 years up there. So we talked about this, I don't know, 15 years ago, about moving it to Saturdays. And people were in favor of moving it to Saturdays because they could attend. That at night, with school things that were going on and other things that were going on, they felt that on a Saturday we would get better attendance. Now we have this for an October town meeting. We have fairly decent attendance. Normally there's about 75 people, but town meeting attendance has gone down over the last 15 to 20 years, and Saturdays would hopefully increase that amount. And that's the reason.
Madam Moderator, Richard Whitney again.
Mr. Whitney?
The reason why I ask, and I understand what Ray said, but the thing is, Saturdays has changed for a lot of people, financially and everything else, even though that the people can't get out on the weekends because they have to work, and here we are, the ones that work during the week and have the weekends off. I don't find it fair to exclude some people. It's supposed to be a democratic, and to me, leaving it alone is perfect. And instead of changing it to Saturdays, granted, they talked about it 10 years ago. That was then. Now is now. I mean, things are hard for everybody, even all of us that are standing here or sitting here. So my vote is to leave it alone.
Madam Moderator, I just want to add a little to Ray's comment. I mean, I feel like the board has had a lot of residents ask us to bring this back to town meeting, and I like the responses I'm hearing, because this is why we bring the articles forth in the first place. There's a lot of new young families moving to Grafton. A lot of them have young children. A lot of them can't afford babysitters, and Tuesday nights are difficult for them. And they say, well, you know, since the pandemic and we did a few of Saturday town meetings outside, we've opened it up to young families who have not been able to participate in Tuesday night. So it seems like there's two sides to the story here, and I don't think there'll be a solution that will make every resident happy. And what I would encourage people to do is vote what you think works best for you, for your family, and those around you. That we want, what our goal is to get the highest amount of attendance at town meeting, and that's our goal, is just to ask the residents the question. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, in blue. Good trouble.
Madam Moderator, Select Board, my name is Lydia Bogar. I live at 8 Bernard Road, and I've been there for 50 years. This article is the product of a citizen's petition started in the senior center several weeks before the town and the rest of the world shut down. It was done so because the seniors feel that they are left out of town meeting at night. They either don't drive after dark, they don't drive at all, or they have trouble getting a ride. This is your senior citizens asking to be heard. Thank you for your time.
Ma'am?
Madam Moderator, Donna Stock, 238 McGill Road. I also think that we should move it to Saturdays, especially for the reasons that were just articulated in terms of our elderly and their ability to come on meetings when it may go late in the evening. They can't drive here, etc. I don't work on Saturdays, but I do work on Tuesday mornings. I have an early morning meeting tomorrow, and same thing. I would rather not be here late at night, and I know the October meeting doesn't necessarily run that long, but we've been here plenty of times when it has run very late in the evening, and I would approve this article.
Sir?
Brett Mills, 49 Sunrise Ave. As a father of a young family, I've been coming to these meetings for some time too. I think Monday nights, as inconvenient as it can be for some, and I empathize with the elderly and the the people who do have difficulties coming at night. There's going to be an inconvenience, whether it's on Saturday, a Monday night, a Wednesday night when it gets continued. There's an inconvenience to all parties. And those who are going to make a commitment to be involved and those who are going to make a commitment to come out, they're going to come. And us as a small family, as a younger family and whatnot, we can make arrangements on an evening. Maybe only one of us are attending tonight. But on a weekend, we have multiple sporting events, other activities and whatnot that you cannot, bypass and get past. So I urge to leave it the same. Maybe we work out some other ways to get our senior citizens here, some additional ride sharing and whatnot, but Monday nights or weeknights is still business for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Rebecca Alforus, 5 Falmouth Drive. I second that. I think with some creative ideas coming from some different ways, we may be able to help out people who have a hard time getting here. It is difficult for the elderly to drive at night, and so maybe we need, as citizens, to find a way to step up and help them out rather than moving the meeting. For religious purposes, I would not be able to attend Saturday mornings to a meeting ever. So in that light, that makes it significantly problematic for me. And I also want to point out I'm a single parent, and I did get a babysitter, even though it is a significant financial cost, because this is important to me to be here. And so I do know it's a hardship. It's also crossed my mind in the past. I don't know if there'd be a way to set up a babysitting option here at the building. I know with the pandemic that changes everything. Lastly, if you want to increase people coming, has anyone ever served donuts and coffee?
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? If you're in favor, can you keep it up until I get through everyone, please? Thank you. All those opposed? I declare the motion failed, defeated. Article 20. Mr. Mead. You okay?
Never happened to me when I was up there. Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate and transfer funds in the amount of $1,500,000 from the Road Improvement Stabilization Fund to the Road Improvement Capital Expenditures Fund.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried by the required 2/3 vote. Sorry. Article 21, Ms. Roy.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate and transfer funds in the amount of $974,296.50 from the sale of 8 Pine Street to the following accounts in the following amounts: $100,000 to the OPEB trust account, $374,296.50 to the stabilization fund, and $500,000 to the municipal capital stabilization fund.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. This requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried by the required 2/3 vote. Mr. Often?
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to authorize the payment of the following prior fiscal year invoices. $1,239.80 to the New England Medical Billing Group Limited. $248.21 to New England Medical Billing Group Limited. $1,261.42 to E.L. Harvey, and $733.84 to New England Medical Billing Group Limited.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? This requires a 9/10 vote. All those in favor? Raise them high. Thank you. All those opposed? I declare the motion carried by the required 9/10 vote.
Madam Moderator.
Ms. DeFazio.
I move that the town vote to pass over Article 23.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried. Article 24, Mr. Mead.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the proposed charter amendments as set forth in Article 24 and to further authorize the town to make non-substantive changes, lettering, numbering, and pagination of the charter going forward on an as-needed basis.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
George Liam Houle, 68 Carroll Road. Citizens of Grafton, I implore you to dissent from passage of Article 24. Moving an elected position to an appointed one changes the dynamic of the town hall government system, especially considering the appointed nature of the appointer, the town administrator. We have long prided ourselves on our unique democratic system. Should then we toss away that system? For whom and for what? Have our town clerks been so derelict in their duty? Have appointed positions so proven to be superior? I ask you, citizens, to weigh the job done by town clerks past against the risk of malfeasance in the future. Should the board and the town administrator feel it so necessary to recall a clerk, then let them create an article to allow those who voted them in to make that decision, the citizens of Grafton. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on the motion?
Madam Moderator?
Yes, Mr. Mead.
I just want to say that I originally in the board meetings came out against this because I felt that our town clerk has done a fantastic job in very trying times, and I don't want to see anyone lose their job. But with discussions that have gone on, I'm very confident that the town clerk is going to stay in her position, in an appointed position. And I would urge you to vote in favor of this.
Madam Moderator?
Ms. Roy?
I just wanted everyone to be clear that voting in favor for this will not automatically change the position from elected to appointed. All this does is put it on the ballot for us to vote on in the spring.
Thank you. You, ma'am.
Linda Bent, 93 Millbury Street. I am against appointments, period. Because when somebody is appointed, it is very tempting to appoint somebody you know rather than the person best suited for the job. I am not insinuating that this happened in this town, but it does happen. So I am against appointments of any kind.
Thank you. Ma'am?
2 Brigham Hill Road. I work in municipal government, so I speak from experience from another town. The skills required to work in municipal government are hard-earned, learned, and long. It's a long process. The term town clerk may underscore the duty and the responsibility that this individual has. Everybody thinks anybody could do a clerk's job. Not so. I disagree with the town clerk. The laws have gotten so complex, and it takes such a long time for a town clerk to learn the laws and the procedures that are ever-changing, that it takes a person with a certain skill set to be able to do that job. An election, and all due respect to our elected officials, but an election tends to get the more popular individual into the position, not necessarily the more skilled person into the position. By having it be appointed, you have to post the job. You have a job description. You have skills that are needed for the person to apply for the job. They go through the interview process, as any hiring happens. And I encourage you to vote to make the town clerk's position an appointed position so that you can indeed get the best skilled individual into the position to take care of the town. Thank you.
Ma'am?
Melissa Graves, 37 Key Circle. I think my question may have just been answered, but I don't want to clarify. Appointed is not just the town administrator picks someone. There's a hiring process just like any other position in the town government. And there's a job description, they apply, and you have to follow all laws and such that go around hiring anyone, correct?
Yes, so our bylaws pretty specifically call out how we're supposed to be hiring, how that process plays out, and we have to follow that with any appointed position that we have.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
Richard Whitney, 13 Greeny Drive. I think this is totally ridiculous, 100%. You know, you want to have one person appoint or go through a little committee and all that. You leave it up. It's been good for, 40 years now? We've had a town clerk. We started off with Ray Jordan. Thank you, Ray. All the way down to Donna Gerard and you know, what we have now. I'm sorry, my names are losing, but the thing is, it's totally ridiculous. Let's just leave it alone, pass over it, and go to bed. That's it.
Madam Moderator?
Mr. Upton?
With respect, Rich, this isn't about what's been done in the past. This isn't about past clerks. This isn't about our current clerk. This is about the future of this position. This is about the governance and the oversight of this role. And I strongly believe that the appropriate place for that governance and oversight sits in the town administrator's office, confirmed by the select board. That's where the closest relationship to what happens in the clerk's office on a day-to-day basis happens. Thank you.
May I rebuttal? Thank you. I agree with you 100% in a way, but the thing is, you're an elected official. Every one of you is up there, except Evan, which is appointed, okay? Knowing that you were elected, when you started running, did all these people in this room, or the ones who voted for you, know you when you first started and what you could do, and what they could put their trust into you? They did. Why can't we do that with the clerk? Why do we have to have it appointed? Okay? It's the same thing as you running for President of the United States. Oh yeah, he was a senator, he was this, he was that. Well, you know what? It's a fine the way it is. Let the people speak, and let's go from there. Let's move. I make a motion to move this.
There's a motion to move the question? Yes, sir. I'm sorry?
Point of order?
Yes, sir.
The person who just spoke cannot move the question.
Thank you, sir. But I was responding to the woman in the row.
Okay.
There's a motion to move the question. Second. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor of moving the question will end debate. All those opposed? I declare the motion carried. Article 24 requires a majority vote. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? I declare the motion defeated. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, hold on. No. No, I'm sorry, but I misspoke. I declare the motion carried. I transposed the numbers of who was opposed and who was in favor, and it carried. Thank you. I'm sorry? Not for inside, no. We have the paddles, and I've been counting them.
It seems obvious that we need counters, but if you haven't appointed any.
The motion has been carried. Mr. Often, Article 25.
Madam Moderator, on behalf of the Affordable Housing Trust, I make a motion that we pass over Article 25.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed? I declare the motion carried. That was an hour and 45 minutes. Oh, 15, sorry. Please return your paddles to the boxes in the dining common. And thank you all for coming. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? All those opposed? See you in the spring.